Welcome back to the Elle-Sera podcast, and today's guest is Claire Hobson. Are you still going by Hobson these days?
I am still going by Hobson, yes.
Okay. Have you dropped Hobson Taylor now?
I don't think I actually even got around to ever using the Taylor, if I'm being honest.
Okay, so that's a perfect place to begin our chat today. So Claire, you came on the podcast about 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And at the time, you were talking about how you changed your body image, you'd just done a bodybuilding competition, and a lot of it had taken a toll on your relationship, etc. But bring us up to speed on everything that's happened in the last 18 months since the last time you were on.
I don't even know where to start. Whole world's turned upside down in the last 18 months. Divorcing. Yeah, it's been hard. It's been hard. Literally, my whole life has been turned upside down.
So obviously last time you came on, you were still quite positive about obviously the relationship and everything at that time.
Yeah.
And you guys were working through some issues that you guys had. You just nearly got married.
Yeah, well, you were there.
Yeah, exactly. So I was pregnant at the time you got married, a beautiful wedding in Oxford. And then what happened?
Fairy tale ended, I guess. Obviously I don't want to sit here and go into the full details of, the ins and outs of it, because that's private and, there's someone else isn't present to have their say, but it ended nonetheless, no matter why. And it's heartbreaking. We were together for 8 years. He was my best friend. You don't just lose a husband, you lose your best friend, someone that you wake up with every day, that knows your deepest, darkest secrets. It's a massive loss. And obviously, like you said, we just got married, and life was really great, actually. It was, sometimes you get relationships and you kind of think, we were getting to the end, we weren't sleeping together, we were arguing all the time. That just wasn't the case.
I know.
And that wasn't the case. And that's what has made this one so very, very tragic. This didn't end because the love ended.
No, I can agree with that.
You were there on my wedding day.
Yeah.
It was one of the, we were at our peak. We were, I waited 7 years to get married, to make sure. And leading up to it, it was happy and it was great. And we were excited and we weren't bickering like, normal people do when you're organising a big wedding and stuff. We were truly happy. And I think he would sit here and say the same thing to you if he was here. Unfortunately, circumstance changed and everything came crashing down.
I've had people on this podcast recently, actually, who are 50s, 60s, also going through relationship breakdowns.
Yeah.
And any relationship breakdown is absolutely heartbreaking at any stage of life, but it's particularly difficult as you get older, because you're thinking, you were married for 2 years.
Yeah.
So you're together for 8, but married for 2.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, well, this is the person I'm going to spend my rest
I thought that.
Yeah, you're in midlife now, so you're going to be spending.
This has blindsided me. This was, in fact, strangely, both of my marriages, it was the marriages everybody never expected to end. Not just me. No one else seen them coming, including myself. Both ended for different reasons. But yeah, my God, I would never have, if you told me that after, less than 2 years after my wedding day that I'd be mid-divorce, I'd have laughed. I would never have been able to comprehend that I'd be sat in this position, ever. And it has been testing.
I can imagine,
Obviously, like I said, I don't want to go into the whole ins and outs because it's irrelevant of why it ended. And the feelings are the feelings, and it's a loss and it's a grief. But, obviously you're one of my closest friends and
Well, I think the right thing to do.
Do you know the one thing I will say that I have been proud of is that, I not just for this marriage, I fought Especially for this one, I fought till the absolute death. Like I couldn't have done any more physically. I couldn't have tried harder. I couldn't have given more. I gave it 1,000,000%. And I am glad, and I wouldn't change any of it. I learned from the breakdown of my first marriage, which also was so tragic. It was, the first one, it was kind of my decision, really, in the end, but it was really amicable, as amicable as a divorce could be. And in the moment when I decided to walk away from that, or we both decided to walk away from that, we didn't fight. We were together 12 years and we had it. Obviously, you knew that husband as well.
Yeah, a great guy.
What an incredible, we had an incredible relationship, and what an incredible, solid friendship we had. And for us to both have walked away at that point without really fighting for it, I genuinely just couldn't see. It was just lack of communication. If we could actually have sat down, somebody that I communicated with so fantastically for so many years, all of a sudden that broke down. And obviously it was one or two things that had happened in that time, and we just both kind of shut off. And I genuinely couldn't see a way out of it. And I walked away, and I still didn't think I'd done the wrong thing initially. 6 months later, 8 months later, I was like, what the hell have I done? What the hell have we done? Like, we didn't even try. We didn't try. We just... and then I went into panic mode. And at this point, I had not conducted myself, I would say, in the correct manner after being with somebody for 12 years. I think it was disrespectful. He healed the correct way, and he stayed on his own, and he faced the grief. He dealt with the pain, the loss. He was respectful. I was the opposite. And I am not proud of that behaviour. I went straight into something with somebody else. Well, not straight away. I was on my own for a little bit. I had a few dates here and there. But the one guy that I ended up sort of staying with for a 2.5-year period, I went into it initially because he was a bit of a rogue, a bit of a playboy, never settled down. So I thought, this is perfect because I don't want anything
safe.
I didn't want steady Eddie. I didn't want safe. And I wanted somebody that didn't want commitment. I didn't want commitment. I'd just come out of a 12-year marriage. I just wanted a bit of fun. And I thought, this guy's perfect because he is never going to want to settle down. And I don't want to settle down. And what I hadn't bargained for at that time was I didn't know that guy liked me all the time that I was married. He'd never crossed any boundaries and told me that. I didn't know that. So when he got me, he fell in love with me. But that wasn't what I wanted. But I was selfish at that time. And you know what? I needed a distraction from every single bit of pain that I was feeling. I couldn't function. I didn't want to sit and have to think about what I've just lost. Instead, threw that all in a box, stuck a lid on it, pushed it to the back of my mind, hoped that'd go away. And I tell you what, here's a fantastic distraction. And it was a 2.5-year distraction. And it was a toxic distraction. And it was unhealthy, but it distracted me. So anyway, we fast forward into like 6 months of this. And honestly, I just couldn't keep up the lie anymore. Like at that time, I was like, I've made the biggest mistake. And the comparisons.
They couldn't have been worlds apart, these two guys. Like absolute worlds apart.
Worlds apart. But because I hadn't had time on my own to really process what I'd wanted. And the things that were sort of going wrong at the end of my first marriage, had in abundance with this other person. And that initially, that first bit, it all seemed okay. But
you're in that honeymoon period, it's exciting.
But then when that started to wear down and I actually started to sit, and obviously they were really into me, and they wanted all this affection and love and to make me have them feel secure. And I'm sat there thinking, how dare you ask me for all this love and attention after what I've just been through? And how awful, because
he was like rebound boy.
Rebound guy. Showmans.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I'm sitting there thinking, how dare you demand all this of me when you know that I'm grieving my husband and this. But actually, do you know what? He had every right to ask for that, because do you know what? A barefaced lied to him and told him I was over it, when in reality, I certainly wasn't. And he was just person I was using to get over it. And that makes me sound like an awful, awful human being. And actually, I was at the time, but I didn't sit there vindictively thinking I was going to use this person. There was a connection there. That wasn't a lie. But then the comparisons start to come in, and I realised what I had initially with my husband, and I looked at the bigger picture, sat back 6 months later, I had this, and then I had this, and this was never going to be this. And then the resentment.
To give a bit of context to this, can I just because I think the audience are going to be feeling a very, very heartbroken for this guy. Do not. Okay, do not.
Okay, yes.
This is probably one of the biggest pieces of shit I have ever come across in my life, by the way, sometimes. And his behaviour was disgraceful. So
yeah, okay, yeah.
So let's not be thinking this is some wonderful guy out or Gossip Girl or I don't know, or whatever. This is not that guy either. He was also
oh God, that would.
So her ex-husband, great guy, nice guy. I think the problem I think that happened there was you actually just became best friends.
He was my best friend, yeah.
Yeah. And then then you get with bad guy, who's like bad boy energy, toxic, all that.
Oh, super bad.
Yeah, it's like doorman, a bit rough ready, all that. So you can see where we're going with it. And then, but not right either. But is worlds apart from the marriage that you've just left, which is what you needed.
It was crazy. It was crazy, toxic, but in a weird way. But like I said, a great distraction. But but what happened was, I dragged that out for 2.5 years, and that, I'll be honest, that 2.5 years to me felt like 2.5 minutes. It was the biggest blur of my whole life. Honestly, it was a blur. All of the toxic stuff that was going on there, all it was really doing was that I'd rather have dealt with that than really, really focused on what I'd just lost and what I'd thrown away. But we were 6 months in, and you know what? He was trying so hard to make me love me over it, love me through it. Well, do you know what? That is an impossible task for anybody to do. You cannot make the heart switch on and off like a tap. Don't care what anybody says. Okay, you have to sit on your own and you have to do it on your own. And he tried his best. And the harder he tried, the more it pushed me to thinking about how amazing my husband was. Because I know that sounds weird, but he was actually doing all these lovely, thoughtful things, and whilst being toxic at the same time. But you know what? It didn't feel authentic. It felt like he was trying to compete, and it made me feel resentful. I felt resentful of him. And I felt resentful that I couldn't grieve, because someone was there distracting me from grieving. But actually I needed the distraction because I was so selfish that I couldn't sit on my own. So I was in this, there's a lot of people that are going to resonate with what I'm saying right now. People do not want to admit they've ever done this to someone.
Loads of people, I call it monkey branching. They won't leave one branch until they've got another
to
one.
Hold on to.
Absolutely.
And you know what? That is the worst position to be in. The person that is the rebound is the worst position to be in. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. You're not fighting. You're not getting them through it. You're not loving them through it. You're not loving them over it. You are not. You are going to get the resentment, and you're going to start feeling insecure because you for instance, I'll give you an example. I remember times when something would come on the TV or a song would come on or something, and I'd start crying. I couldn't hold it in. And they would be like, why are you crying? I thought you said you're over him. And it's really, really difficult, because your words to them are saying one thing, which are a pack of lies. The connection's there, but you're telling them you love them. This connection's the best I've ever had, blah, blah, blah. Well, actually, my actions prove that that's not true. And they can read, they can feel it. It's an aura, it's an energy. Someone can tell you all the right things.
People can pay a lip service, but your actions speak louder than words.
100%, 100%. And my actions did not match what I was saying. So yeah, but that first marriage and doing that and coming out and doing the rebound thing really, really has taught me that I was never going to do that this time. I've sat on my own in solitude. Have I had some dates? Yes, I have. And they have all made me realise that I'm certainly not ready.
Well, that's good, and we can get into them later. But because I'm absolutely desperate to hear about the dating scene.
Oh, yeah, horrific.
But yeah, no, I completely get that. And actually, I remember when first got with Danny, he'd only been split up from his ex-partner for like 3 months, and I was thinking, I'm rebound girl. That's what I am.
Yep.
You know, like I was tentative, very much kept him at arm's length, and he was like, no, you're not. You're really not. And I was like, it didn't matter what he said. So I think everybody can kind of think about a position that they might have been in. Either they've done it or
they've been on the other end of it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah. So obviously that relationship ended eventually. And then you met husband.
Yeah. So in the time from finishing, like the 2.5 year, like showmance, if you like, I sat on my own again for another year. I wasn't, in fact, I didn't date anyone. There was no one else. I just literally sat on my own. And do you know what? All of that stuff that I thought I'd dealt with, you know, whilst being in the situationship, hadn't dealt with it at all. It's all just got packed away, thrown in the back corner of my mind. And now, guess what? I've got to deal with that. I've got to deal with it. It's not going away. And you start to realise that what should I have done different? What could I have done different? Look at how I behaved. How must that have made that person feel? Like, karma's come back to bite me on the arse now. So I've paid my dues, I think. But I remember when I first got with the guy after my first husband, I kept it on the lowdown for quite a while. Like no pictures on social media, nothing. So after a few months, he's obviously asking the question, why am I not on your social media? So then comes the answer, which you'd expect, which is, well, you know, I want to be respectful to my husband that I've just finished with because we had 12 years together. And obviously it's going to hurt. Now that is true. That wasn't a lie. But really, if I finished off that sentence, is his feelings are way more important than yours are ever going to be. And I'm putting him first. He is my priority and you are not. That's what the real sentence was. But you don't finish it off as that. But that is the reality. He wasn't as important to me as my husband's feelings were, even though I was with him, telling him how I loved him and how I was over it. Lies, pack of lies. And you know what? He knew it. He knew it. So I didn't put anything on social media. But then I started getting backed into a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so long goes past. And the other reason, if I'm being completely truthful, that I didn't want to put anything on social media is because at this point we're 6-8 months in, I think I've made a mistake. If I do that, I'm putting a nail in my own coffin for anything to ever, for me to go back or maybe there ever be a chance of that. So what I did was, I actually, 6 to 8 months in, I walked away from Mr. Crazy and I went and banged back on the door of my husband.
And what did he say?
That conversation is one that is going to remain private in terms of what was said in it, because I just don't want to talk about that, you know, and I don't want to disrespect him, and I don't want to, and that is a private conversation. However, I knew that like everyone fears rejection, right? We all fear it. It's not a nice feeling, someone rejecting you, someone turning you down, someone leaving you, whatever. And I was scared of rejection. Bearing in mind, I was the one that walked away. Bearing in mind, I've now humiliated him because now everybody knows that I'm seeing this other guy that compared to him is a complete idiot. The humiliation and embarrassment he must have felt, I now can comprehend actually, because I'm in the same position. But I thought, no, I am going to go back and I'm going to be true to my heart with my tail between my legs, because you know what? I'd rather live with rejection than live with the regret of not knowing and having a what if line over my head for the rest of my life. That would keep me in a place of never being able to move on. So I went back with my tail between my legs and I said what I said, and I got the answer I expected. obviously, because that didn't work out. So, moral of the story, I fought at the wrong time. I fought when it was too late. I realised too late. I didn't see the bigger picture when I was in it. I seen it when I was 6 months down the line. I looked at my selfish needs and the one little thing that was going wrong rather than all the things that were going right. I looked at it glass half empty, not half full. And I've never made that mistake ever again. And I certainly didn't make that in this marriage. And I'm really proud of myself for that. Because I fought to the death for this one. I didn't walk away. I did not walk away. I fought and I fought and I fucking fought.
If you could have gone back to your first marriage and known what you know now, how would you have addressed the problems that you had?
I would have sat down and communicated it properly. It was all of this, both marriages, lack of communication, lack of actually being able to sit and say, this is how I'm feeling. You might not think you've made me feel that way, but my feelings are valid whether you agree with them or not, and have been able to say that in an environment when someone's not going to go, oh, for God's sakes, I didn't do, and I think it's the fear of saying how you feel because you're so worried about rocking the boat because you're in fear of maybe it ending if you start this conversation, whereas actually look where they both ended anyway. Because we didn't have those conversations. And obviously since both marriages, obviously I've had those conversations with both of those people, and it's like now you sit there and we shake our heads and go, this so could have been
a different story.
But this time, this story,
you know what I mean, you did fight hard for it. Even at the 11th hour, like when I'm like, fucking hell, you must need your head testing, Claire. Like you're still hanging in there, and I'm like, you can't, like, it's like, I was like, it's done, like it's over, like he's so disrespectful in every way. And realistically, only because he has like moved on, and then you found that was the real death knell, wasn't it? Well, or whatever.
I mean, it's been really hard. It's funny, I was having a conversation with my dad just the other day, and he was talking about that we live in this throwaway society. Social media is the devil, all these options. And you know what? I do not disagree with my dad. Social media has given, and all the dating apps and everything, have given people what seems like loads of opportunities. Oh, there's loads of opportunities, but most of them are crap ones. But he was saying, social media's, ruined things. And I went, actually, no, I disagree with that. It's given people more options. I'd actually argue it's people's morals and integrity that are the problem. Our generational values are the problem. You can use social media and not reply to a girl or a boy if you're in a relationship. That is on you. That is how you conduct yourself. That is how much you respect yourself, how much you respect your partner. Instagram doesn't make you do that. Social media doesn't make you do that. It gives you the options. What you choose to do that is up to you. So like me and my dad were having this debate, which I totally agree with him, what he's saying, okay, to a degree. And
men are completely different though. They are like the testosterone running through them. They can walk down the street and they are like looking at women in a completely different way than women look at men.
Yes.
And they are, the temptation is always put in front of them all
men
the time.
do, they're programmed by nature to be different to us. 100%.
Yeah.
So my dad was like, and then he, my dad's a lot like myself, says it as it is. Things come out, he didn't mean it disrespectfully, but he was like, well, not being funny, you're proof of this throwaway generation, 2 failed marriages. Honestly, this was his words. And I sat there and I was like, okay. I said, well, let me turn this back round at you. God, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. But here we go. What do we measure? What are we measuring successful relationships by? What are we measuring that by? Because what my dad seems to think, or was saying, suggesting, was that we're measuring it by longevity. Okay, but it didn't last. You didn't stick through your marriage. Well, do you know what? Unfortunately, obviously, my mum's not here. She passed away. But up until that point, they remained married. They've been together, 30 odd years, whatever. I was like, well, I'd argue were 2 way more successful relationships than you ever had with my mum.
So the quality of the relationship, even though the relationship was shorter.
Listen, 1,000,000%. I had crazy, stupid, serendipity, magical, both times. I had knocked me off my feet. I had the real deal twice. My dad never had that with my mum. And I said, so don't tell me that I failed or we failed or marriages when they end, that they're failures. Do you know what? I had 2 incredible relationships. And actually, both of these relationships weren't failing for ages. What people seen really was real. You know, these finished quick, but they weren't terrible up to that point. And I grew up with my mum and dad, and I never seen them kiss. I never seen them hold hands. You know,
it was just like companionship. But even then,
we stayed together.
Yeah,
we stayed together, so we're successful. I don't measure a successful relationship by that. I measure a successful relationship. How were you in the times that you were together? And you know what? I was happy. We were happy. Like, had a crazy, colourful, wild, wonderful time with both of those human beings. And irrelevant of how we got to here, the 2 things that I'm grateful to those 2 humans for is that both of them loved me for exactly the way I was. They didn't try to change me. They embraced my crazy side, my crazy love of fancy dress. You know, they loved me for me. They allowed me to be myself. And that is why both those relationships, in a generation actually where that's quite long, a 12-year and an 8-year, bearing in mind that I started that at 19 years old. That shows commitment, especially for me. You know, that is 2 long committed relationships that were fantastic. And I would not trade them for the world, even if it meant I knew I was still going to sit here today with all the pain that I'm carrying in my heart. I wouldn't trade it. I had the real deal. Some people never get that. My dad never had that until he met Nikki. She's the love of his life. If my mum hadn't passed away, he wouldn't have had that. So I argued with him and I was like, I've had more success than you have in love because it was real. It was real. They were the real deal. His wasn't. And he's like, okay, I concede. He's like, I concede.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now, so obviously the relationship broke down, whatever, and it's been turbulent, since. And then, where do you even go about, there'll be people listening to this, probably in a relationship, that are thinking, fuck, I know it's over, we're flogging a dead horse here, whatever. Where's the first person you turn to? You know, what is important in that time when you think, God, where do I go? Because your best friend is now I'm not going to be there. You've got to have a good support system around you.
Yeah, do you know what? This without all of my friends, you being one of those, I genuinely couldn't have gotten through this. And I have always been, my mum was a really strong woman, proper battle axe. Never seen her cry. She just held everything together, and she always brought me up to not cry, not show emotion. It's weak. And I've always battled things on my own, and I've kept things hidden and protected people for a long time. And I did it all on my own. And at the end, just realised I couldn't do that on my own. Without all of you, without my dad, without my friends, I couldn't have done this. It has been the hardest thing I've ever gone through this time, and I couldn't have done it on my own.
It's because as a couple, you make lots of couple friends as well.
Yeah.
And then you realise who your real friends are. Yeah. Because who's really there? Who's really on his side? Who's really on your side?
Yeah, I was really lucky. I have to say.
There you go.
I'm lucky, I've got a great set of friends that have helped me through it, and they're all sick of hearing it, I'm sure. There was, this is last year. It took me to a place that I never thought I could be, where I didn't want to wake up. But I dragged myself out of that. My friends dragged me out of that. A couple of my friends intervened, and without them, it's been really hard. So yeah, without you all, I probably wouldn't be here telling the story. It's really near on killed me, this one.
Yeah, it is. It's so heartbreaking. Obviously, we've been going through it for the last year now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a support system around you is absolutely critical. good advice, objective advice.
Yeah.
You know, from somebody who's probably completely away from each party.
I mean, God, the amount of therapy sessions I've had to have.
Yeah.
I mean, but
therapist
God,
is a great idea.
I used to think, oh God, I was so arrogant in thinking that I wouldn't, you know, what do you get from sitting and talking to a stranger? Actually, some of the stuff I've actually been unpacking now, even from like my first marriage, you know, how I conducted myself, how I made somebody else feel, you know, how my actions would have made someone else feel, just disregarded like they meant nothing. And I am now in a position where somebody else has made me feel like that. So it makes you reflect what I did to someone else. And like I said, you know, do unto others. It will come, it comes back full circle, it does. And maybe I'm deserving of that, you know, because I put somebody else in that position. But the thing is, the truth was, the way the story looked was a lie. That wasn't real. That what I was putting out to the world, I couldn't have been further from what I really felt. It was, I wasn't over them. I wasn't prioritizing this other person. They were still always I was just being selfish to get myself through. And unfortunately, my own selfish needs came above someone else who I cared about's feelings. And that's the brutal truth. We're intrinsically selfish. We're programmed that way as humans. We can obviously teach ourselves not to be that way and grow and be better. But that's how we're programmed, to look after ourselves first. And that's what I did.
Apologies for interrupting this podcast, but I need to ask a favour. If you're enjoying this podcast so far, then please hit that subscribe button right now. I'll be straight up and honest that I want to see this podcast grow and flourish into something that I'm really proud of. And the only way that I can do that is with your help. So if you've ever learned anything useful from these conversations, then please return the favour by liking, rating, subscribing, and maybe even sharing it with your friends. Thanks very much. Let's get back to the episode. I know. And then you've got like, it's all the stuff that comes with the breakdown of a relationship. You know, this is a person you shared your life with, your friends with, your family with, your relatives, everything, all these special moments, you know, wedding, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you've got to move out. Or like
it's your whole home. It's your, like you said, your friendship groups, and it's like memories. Like I wish there was a pill. Why don't you create a pill, Alyssa, that you can take that erases memories? Because memories are like a torture chamber. You know, they're the most amazing, incredible things. But you know, like when you've been with somebody a very long time, they are everywhere. They're at the airport. So when you go on your first holiday on your own and you have to sit on a plane on your own and everyone's sat in couples and you're there, it's the memories. And then you sit and watch a film on the telly that you watch together, the song that comes on the radio. They're everywhere because you've been everywhere together, because you've been together for such a long time. It's like your right arm's been taken away. So irrelevant of who did what to whom, both parties feel that grief. It's like somebody died, but they didn't. And your memories, they don't go, and they're going to be there forever. And unfortunately, it is torture. And I live in it every day. I live in it. I was just saying to you before I came in, you know, people want real, they want honest, they want to be honest. I'll be honest. Sat in Dubai on my birthday at the weekend, and I was sat in a nightclub. And of all the songs to come on, my wedding song is not the typical song that you would hear in a nightclub in Dubai, but there it was. And I can't control it. You hear it, the first beats, and that song is everywhere. I came here today, and it comes on the radio. I put it on, I go on the telly, put a music channel on. It's there. It's like somebody just wants to come and keep stabbing you in the heart again and again and again. But all of these things, memories, they don't just go. And that's why you have to be on your own and sit in your... My dad's girlfriend, Nikki, she says it has to be a year, at least, a year on your own, a year to get through the first of everything, the first birthday without them, the first Christmas, the first anniversary, the first holiday. And how could I imagine if I had pretended that I was okay and started dating someone and took them to Dubai? How would that person have felt when I start crying in the middle of a nightclub over my husband?
Yeah.
That I'm getting divorced. How would they feel? That's telling me I'm not over it. And imagine if I was sat in that environment having to hold that in. The resentment I would then feel, because I did that with the crazy guy. Yeah. And they're sitting there when the movie comes on and they're going, oh, look, this is us. And I sat there rolling my eyes thinking, are you delusional?
Yeah.
No, all I'm thinking about
is somebody else
is someone
and you're
else.
not them.
And you know what? They know it.
Yeah.
The thing is, they're sat there and they know it. I can't live that lie now. I cannot live that lie. I love love. I love it. And I am open to meeting somebody and I am open to giving everything I've got again. I will do it. And I've got it, but I haven't got it right now.
No.
I haven't got it right now. And do you know what? I want it.
Well, when the time's right, when you're right, when you're ready.
These little things like those moments in Dubai, they're telling me I am not ready to do that because this is going to inflict pain on someone else because they're going to come in and what happens if someone comes in to give me everything that I'm saying I want? I can't reciprocate everything because part of my heart still belongs somewhere else because it's grieving for someone else. That's a long process when you've been with someone a long time and someone thinking they can come in and whisk you away from it. It's not going to happen. And I know it's not going to happen. I've done it. It doesn't work.
No, and it would take, time's a healer. It's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason because everything does get better in time. You know, those memories will fade. Yes. They won't be as raw.
They don't go, but
they won't be raw
you manage
anymore.
them better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like any grief, you just get used to it. And hopefully, you know, somebody will come in and sweep you off your feet and you'll think, fucking hell, why did I even think about husband number two?
One good thing that has come from, well, it's not a good thing that's come from this, but what I've been really strong in, and I will stay strong in, no matter how much I want to meet somebody, I'm not going to try and make a square peg fit in a round hole, okay? I know what I want, and I know that when I'm ready, I can fully reciprocate everything I want. I know that whoever's going to get me next is going to get a really incredible human, and I know I conduct myself in a really good way in a relationship. And I'm not prepared I am not prepared to settle. I'm not going to settle just because I want love, just because, I'm 43 years old and time's running out. Do you know what? Trust me, those thoughts have all gone through my head. I've gone on dates and I have gone on, every date I've had has been a good date. All of them. I haven't had any horrible dates. But you know what? I can't describe it. It's like, I know with the two people that I married, take out looks, money, all of those things, or the tick box things. All I know is with both of them, I felt like it was putting on a comfortable pair of slippers when I first met them. It felt like I'd known them forever. I felt fully comfortable and I didn't have to compromise who I was. And when I went on the dates with these other people, all great people and compatible in loads of ways,
but not giving you that.
And do you know what it is? It's not about the tick box thing, right? Because trust me, some of them actually, when I think of it on paper, tick more boxes.
They look, like they can, like over 6 foot, which is 100% a thing, right? Anyone, sorry anyone who starts with a 5, but it's the truth.
It's so true.
They start with a 6, okay? They probably got a decent job, good looking, you know, you want them to have a bit of ambition, you want them to, have a bit of disposable income so they can go do stuff together. All these things matter.
And do you know what? Honestly, I have had on paper something that technically, if I'd really looked at it on a tick box scenario, should have been better.
Yeah.
And you know what? I just remember looking at them thinking, at my age now, most people in my situation, what I've been through, you're a catch. And you know what? Most people right now would settle. And I looked at him and I thought, I'm never going to look at you like I looked at him. Never. I don't feel, and I don't know when I meet someone if it's going to be forever or not, but I know when it's not. I know the feeling in here, that comfortabableness, the ease, like.
Of course, somebody makes you laugh.
Like the first night, I remember the first date I had with James. And like, he'd never wanted to get married ever. He wasn't interested in marriage, like interested in settling down, family and all that, but didn't want marriage. And
why was that, do you think?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him that. I actually don't know why he didn't want marriage. I mean, his mum and dad had a really good marriage. Like, I don't know. I don't know what in all honesty, you'd have to ask him yourself. But I mean, to me, I wasn't bothered. At that
You'd
point,
already done the marriage
thing.
Yeah.
To me, marriage was not. If somebody didn't ask me to marry them, it definitely wasn't a thing for me. Definitely wasn't. I would have been happy never getting married again. That's the truth. But we had, he came to my house the first date we had, and he went back to work. Well, you were at the wedding, so you heard the speech. So he told the story at the wedding. He went back to work the next day, and they said, "Oh, how did the date go?" And he'd spent 4 hours in my company. He said, "I'm going to marry her. That's the girl. I'm going to marry that girl. She's the one." And this is a guy that said he would never get married. And in 4 hours, he knew.
Yeah.
He knew. So the point to the story is, you know what? It was bells and whistles.
Yeah.
It was instant, and it was comfortable, and it was wow. And you know what? I know what that feels like. I've had here, and I've had here twice, and I refuse at any point to settle for anything less than that. If it's not something spectacular is going to have to come along.
Well, they say you have 3 great loves. Your first one.
The third one's myself.
Yeah. They say the first one is the most painful one. And you probably, is like you fall out over like trivial stuff.
Yeah.
The second one teaches you everything. That is the most heartbreaking one. And the third one is the real one. Because that one, you've learned, your heart's bruised now. You've learned a lot. You've got experience. You know what you're doing. That's the real one.
Yeah. So I'm just waiting for that one, but I will wait, and I'm in no rush. I genuinely like I said, I really love the idea of love, and I prefer being in a relationship, and I've met some really great people, but I don't want to waste their time, and I rather would live lonely and in hope than lonely and in a lie.
I don't think you're ever going to be short of male attention. I'll say that.
But do you know what? But getting somebody isn't an issue.
Yeah, it's getting the right person.
I don't. Honestly, attention is.
It's cheap and easy.
Yeah, and do you know what? Like, I want a high value man. Okay, and to be a high value man, I have to be a high value woman, and high value women will sit and wait. High value women aren't going to jump from relationship to relationship and just let any man that floats into their inbox get their attention. That is not who I am. And I think a lot of people, when I split with the ones that have been lurking around, they're like, oh, she's single now. Oh, she's heartbroken. Oh, easy pickings.
Yeah.
No, you couldn't be more wrong.
Yeah.
Actually, you're dropping into my inbox with the flame emoji. Seriously.
Fuck off, mate.
But the people think that this is somehow flattering. Like the old Claire, the Claire from years ago, actually, because I didn't love myself, I didn't value who I was inside, didn't value the qualities I had. Actually, that Claire lapped all that up. This Claire, absolutely. I'm not saying that I haven't spoke to people, I haven't flirted with people, but that has been on my watch, on my, my terms, my choice. And if any of those people have had those conversations with me, trust me, you are in a minority.
Yeah.
That I've got people sat in my inbox talking to themselves. I haven't even...
Not even replying. Like, but the whole like flame emoji thing, how many girls do I think inboxes you've been in this morning? Do you actually think that this makes me feel special? No. And if you think that is enough to come and turn my head and get my attention, trust me, it is not. No. It is not. So the attention's there, Alyssa. Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, no chance. Yeah,
yeah.
Not
but do you know what, to get in?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to take something really special. For me to give that, when I say get in, I mean, obviously I'm not going to live like a complete nun forever. But when I say in a relationship, if I'm committing to you, trust me, I'm going to make sure they know how special they are, that I sat and waited for them. Because I don't need a man for anything. I'm supporting myself on my own. You know, I don't need a man. It will be because I want them.
Correct. So like the internet dating scene, like it looks like shit to me. Like, and I always say this because I've got friends who are on Hinge and Tinder and all the other nonsense.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
I'm not in any of them.
And I go through male friends and then go through their profiles and I go through female profiles and I'm just like, it's
vile.
It is vile.
It is vile. I mean, so my first stint of internet dating was back 9 years ago. That is when I'd come out of the relationship with the crazy dude. I'd been on my own for a year, hadn't been on any of that. And I remember my assistant, Tony, we were working down in Burton-on-Trent. And we were staying over in a hotel. We were out at TGI Fridays. I remember this so clearly. And she was like, Claire, she went, I think it's about time now, you know, get yourself out there. She was like, you're going to have to get yourself on Tinder. And I just recoiled in horror.
Yeah.
I mean, I was been with my first husband since I was 19.
Yeah.
We didn't have any of that stuff.
No,
you
I
had to
know.
meet someone. You had to actually go out, right? And have a connection in person. So I'm thinking, I'm not lowering myself to go into one of these things. But then she's like, but Claire, right, you work with women, you tattoo faces all day long. She's like, you don't encounter men. You don't. You sat in watching X Factor with your dogs in a onesie on a Saturday night. She went, are you actually expecting somebody just to knock and bang at your door? And I thought, well, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started realising this isn't going to happen. I've got to get with the times. So we're in TGI Friday. She puts me on Tinder. Sets up a profile for me. We get back to the hotel and I'm swiping. And my first match was and
You ended up being with him for 8 years.
my first match was within 15 minutes of me being on Tinder and I married him. So my first stint on Tinder actually was fantastic. It was, I mean, it's said that there are success stories. I know it hasn't ended the way we would have thought, but my God, 8 years, you know, and it's just weirdly, I'd set my distance to local but I was not local when I went on it. And if that hadn't been for that one night, she put me on it and we were just down the road from his house because he lived a lot further than me. So if she hadn't put me on it that one night,
You wouldn't
met
even
him.
exposed to him in the first place.
Exposed to
How has dating and the landscape changed
since then.
Yeah, like 9
disgusting.
years has changed a lot.
It's awful. It's awful. I mean, I have to say I haven't really done a big stints on it because I'm not. I've had rebellious moments, to be honest, when I've thought, fine.
Yeah.
Fine. I just need to, you know what? Fine.
Just want a bit of company. See who's on there.
Well, I think, you know what? I'm going to have to move on. I guess I try to push myself to do it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's horrific. It's horrific. The amount of fake profiles that there are, then the ones that match with you, but then nobody actually communicates.
Right.
And I'm old fashioned. I still think it should be a man that makes the effort, makes the first move.
Yeah.
I mean, I did go on a couple of dates with people actually off there.
I always think red flag to me, or something that gives me the ick, is when a fella has taken a picture of himself in the mirror with his outfit or something. I'm thinking, fucking hell, mate. I'm going to put a handbag with that outfit. What a wet weekend. For me, I just think you are not masculine one bit. And I honestly would happily talk through with some of my male friends. Like
the cameraman sat here laughing at the side of us. This is what not to do.
This is not what to do on your profile. First of all, if you have filtered your picture and you're a man, oh my God, what a pussy. Sorry. And then he's like, pouting, like, oh, fucking hell. First of all, I like to see...
Okay, so what sort of pictures would you like to see?
Okay, first of all, I think strong profile picture, just...
With clothes on.
With clothes on, smiling that somebody else, who's actually got friends, has taken a picture of you. Then I would like to see a picture with, like, their friends, okay? So that you've got social interaction, so you're not a loser, right? That's what I'm feeling here. Second thing is something sporty or adventurous. I think that would also
something that's showing life.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a life, you've got personality, you get out of the house, you do things. Instead of you stood there with a moody face on, taking pictures of yourself in the mirror, like straight away. And then obviously if their spelling is shit in their profile, also an ick.
That's a massive ick for you. That is the one thing that you always pull people up on. Your.
Well, not even that. It's just like basic words. I'd be like, no. So yeah, and then it's kind of like you got to have a bit of personality as well.
Yeah, I mean,
and I would love it if they didn't have social media. So actually, I would actually love it if they didn't have any profile at all.
Yeah. So you're in a bit of like a catch-22 with it. Yeah. But actually, the ones that I have gone on dates with, because I am fussy and particular, You know, I really did filter it through.
Yeah.
And I've had, everyone I met was really nice people, attractive, what they look like in their pictures. And all the dates were good.
Yeah.
All the dates were good. They weren't for me.
Maybe if you met them a year down the line.
No.
You still wouldn't?
No.
They're just not for you.
No. Like so a couple of the personalities were, but we were at different points in our lives and they were never going to catch up. I've got 2 marriages under my belt. I've been a step parent. You know, I've got my own businesses. I own 2 properties. It's not a status thing at all. It's not a money thing. It's nothing like that. It's an experience. It's a life experience thing. I cannot go into another relationship, especially not at 43 years old, and have to teach somebody how to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
That hasn't had a relationship past a year.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're not a good person. They are. They've got some of the qualities that I'm looking for, but they don't have the life experience. And I'm at a different place in my life. And it was such a shame, some of these things, you know. So it definitely wasn't down to in a different place at the different experience levels.
Maybe an older man.
But then what I find
someone 45 runs their own business, divorced.
What I find with the older guys is that they lack the fun element. And, you know, I need somebody that is fun, like my best friend that comes out, and I still like to go out and have a party and go to a festival. I still need somebody that is going to embrace that side of life with me once in a while. Now, I'm not like most people maybe looking at things like my social media will look like I'm a crazy party girl. Don't get me wrong. I like to go out and have a good night and a good party and stuff. But really, I tend to be posting when I'm out. Whereas actually 95% of the time I'm sat at home with my dogs in a onesie watching the telly, you know, so I think people's perceptions.
I would say then, oh God. Yeah. I mean,
because their perception of me and actually what I am are very different. So you're maybe alienating us, people because they think that that's what you do all the time. Whereas actually, if you look at the dates between a lot of it.
Oh yeah. You just have a blowout every now and again.
Yeah. Once in a while. But I still need somebody that is young at heart is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm a fun character, you know, vibrant and full of energy. And I want somebody that celebrates that side of me. I don't want somebody to come and try and tone me down. And one of the guys I dated, I felt like he was great in so many ways, but I felt like he wanted to tone me down.
I think you need to go South France. Because I know a lot of men with like yachts who really want a woman who's young at heart.
For God's sake, painting me in a great light here.
No, honestly, like I can think of 2 people and they're probably about 55. They are like, you know, out partying. They're in these beach clubs. They're standing on the tables dancing. They're very much like that, but they've retired and they've got like mega millions in the bank.
Like I said, we can sit and go through all these tick boxes, right? All I know is I know what I need to feel. Yeah. It's how I feel with someone. It's how I feel in their company. It's a feeling. It's not a look. It's not a bank balance. It's not a job. It's not a car. It's not a house. It is a feeling of home, a feeling of comfortableness, contentness, and like, I tell you, like going on into the dating thing, like, you know, like you're talking about your red flags and your icks. So I was sat with one of, this is a big, massive red flag. Anyone listening to this is huge.
Do not do this.
Yeah. So I was sat with one of my friends and her friend was dating this guy. They'd been together a few months. It was relatively new. The guy had come out of a really long-term relationship, right? And this was his, I guess, rebound or whatever. Anyway, they'd been dating. So me and my friend are sat there. Her friend's on the phone. She's like, we've split up. My friend and us that night, she's single. She's on Tinder swiping. And that girl's fella pops up. They'd not even broken up for 12 hours, right? And he was, she's like, mate, she's like, I've just been swiping on Tinder and he's on Tinder. And she was like, literally, we just broke up like a few hours ago.
Well, I'll tell you what, he broke up with her in his head a long time before that. Because they might have been officially 12 hours, but he's been broken up in his head.
This is it. So this is red flag. Like, I cannot, honestly, the girl in question got back with him. Right? God. After him. So anyway, and I was like, wow, how do you not get that's how replaceable and disposable you were? Like, so he's come out of this long-term relationship to you.
Yeah.
You guys have split up, had a tiff, and within a day, he is back on because you were that insignificant.
Yeah.
Like that is the one thing. I mean, my God, you know, I've been through some stuff and I've sat and put up with and stuck with some stuff, but I was 8 years down the line. I was years and years down the line of memories, of history, of my best friend, of understanding, of knowing backstories. If I was in a new relationship and we split up and within 12 hours they were on Tinder,
no.
Bye-bye.
Well, the thing is, you think when you have a tiff, you might not speak to each other for a day.
Can you imagine?
I know, but like, it's like, then I've had loads of times where I've not spoken to Danny for like 3-4 days. And I'm like, you know, who's going to make the first move here? Not in any way, shape or form, either of us in that time would have even contemplated like doing anything because, you know, it's not over. You're just mad at each other and you need space.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
Yeah.
You know?
So this is what I'm saying.
That's nailing the coffin. So
that was it.
She's got no respect for herself if she's getting back with him like that.
That's what I'm saying. So that's one of my big red flags is if I was in a relationship with somebody within 12 hours, they were on Tinder. Like that is somebody that is unhappy within themselves, that is so grossly unhappy in themselves, that needs validation from any source they can get it from. And you are just a feed of that. You are feeding that. And that's one of my big icks, big red flag. I would never ever settle for that. And I'd never want to be settled for somebody's like consolation prize or the second option. Never.
Yeah.
Rule number 1, never be number 2.
Very, very good advice. That's a clip there, Calvin.
And I've never, ever been number 2.
No. So now, okay, so there is some positives to this story. There is some positives to this story, guys, okay? So, yeah. And I think it was important to actually get to this point where we can just now talk about the positives because you have found yourself in a position where you're like, fuck, I need to like focus on other things.
Yes.
And you started a whole new business, which is actually something you've been very interested in, I would say, for the past like 5 years, really.
Yeah.
You know, and like obviously you do permanent makeup as a career,
yes.
But you've also been super interested in, through your own journey, really, like health, fitness, and you've seen the effect that it's had on your life from your mental well-being, from just an outside perspective, physically, you're stronger than ever. Mentally stronger than ever, probably emotionally stronger than ever, because people think the gym is about vanity. And it's actually so much more than that for so many people.
I mean, there is a level of it.
Yeah.
I mean, God, all the it's healthy.
Yeah.
And you know what? You need muscle.
Of course.
You know, muscle.
More than ever when you hit, I mean, I say on this podcast, week in, week out, please go weight training if you're a bit over the age of 30.
But it's in here, and it's all the endorphins it releases. And it's a place where I go, it's my happy place. And it's what has got me through hard times before. And all I've known since what's happened, like I have not been able to control I like to be in control of things. I haven't been in control of my emotions. I've been able to manage them, but not control them. So I've had to focus on things that were in my control. Yeah. And that is, you know, the gym, being healthy, you know, spending time with friends, you know, going to therapy, you know, focusing on my businesses.
Yeah. Safe spaces,
things that I know that I can control and that are actually going to be, no matter what, the outcome is only ever going to be positive.
And so you've kind of like built a community now around, so you've got a new business called Body by Claire.
Yeah.
And you've built like a community of ladies in there as well, who again, they want to lose weight, tone up, but actually, yeah, there's an element of that. But actually, they're probably feeling a bit underconfident.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, you tell me, they're probably ladies of a certain age.
Yeah.
You're around your age group.
Yeah.
And they're looking at you thinking, God, Claire, how have you done it? Because you've like absolutely transformed your life in the last like 5 years. You know, and it didn't start overnight.
No.
And this is what I always say. It's like the compound effect of doing these things over time. A muscle's not going to grow
in 2
time
weeks. And dedication.
And when you get to our age, you're just about maintaining that muscle. You just basically, if you grow it, fantastic. But basically, you don't want to lose it.
Yeah, quickly.
And that's what's happening year on year. So it's so important. So talk to us about the program. How long is the program?
So basically, I started off the initial launch with a 10-week program, because I think you want to spend that time with those ladies to really get them into it. Because it's not easy switching from bad habits to good habits overnight.
No.
So, you're going to get slip-ups along the way. So we need time to pull everything back and get them back on track. And 10 weeks is a good... You can do a lot with your body in 10 weeks and diet and exercise. So I started off with the 10-week program initially. And then once I had that up and running and we had those ladies on track, then I launched the 6-week program. No, sorry, 8-week program. Just slightly less, and it's been really good because obviously now we're getting the transformations coming in. But the initial influx, I was shocked because for a lot of those people to have put faith in me to part with their money.
Yeah, and help them along the way.
Yeah.
And also dedicate themselves. I always think, I did it after I got pregnant and after I had the baby. I did a 12-week plan and I literally sat around with all my nearest and dearest and said, I'm doing this. So I want you to commit with me and do not make me stray. There'll be no, don't be bringing shit into the house. You know what I mean? I was like, no, I'm focused on this. You needed to babysit the baby for me while I go to the gym. And it's important to get everybody around you and I think the community aspect of what you've done is the difference between women who are going to pass or fail at this.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you that now, if your partner is not on the same wave as you, they're the ones who are going to pull you off track.
Yes.
So either you just
need
really a strong...
Yeah, we've got a WhatsApp group. So everyone that joins the program is in the WhatsApp group. So we've got nearly, I think it's nearly 50 strong now, of women. And, when one of them has a bad day or one of them or when they have a good day and when they're all sharing their inches loss and their weight loss, some of the ones that have maybe let their partners take them off track or anything think, actually, I'm now sat in a group with all these women that are all doing this. And actually 10 weeks, what is 10 weeks? What's 8 weeks? Now, this is not about transforming your body in 8 or 10 weeks. This is about teaching you that you can still have a life. It's about making better choices. This is not a diet. That word diet, God, it's awful. Can't
it's
be on a diet.
Lifestyle.
Lifestyle change, 80-20. You want chocolate cake? Eat chocolate cake. Just don't have the whole cake.
And just don't have it every day.
Don't have it every day, yeah. I mean, even when I competed, I had to pretend all the way through. At the end, I was going, oh, those donuts must taste so amazing. Well, the reality was, at least once a week for the whole 27 weeks, I traded a bagel for a donut. Didn't tell my food coach. Still did it. Still had to put all the graft in. I still had to make a sacrifice and trade. And I used to cut things. I used to know what my body was capable of. So this is not, that was an extreme case. But people can clearly see on my social media, I go out, I'm eating burger and fries.
Yeah.
I'm drinking Prosecco. I'm drinking vodka and oranges. But what they don't realise is actually I only ever drink when I go out. I never have a drink in the week.
It's not like you sat there with a glass of wine in the evenings every night.
Never, ever.
No,
and it's alcohol that gets a lot of people because of the sugars and the calories. And you drink it, you think, oh, this isn't anything. I've been good all day with my food. 2 glasses of wine later, you've gone over.
Yeah.
You're over.
You're over in your deficit.
Yeah,
completely.
you're over. Yeah, so it's about now trying to teach people that they can make better choices with, lesser calorie alcohol, saving their treats for the weekend when they're going to go out and do it, and how to get back on track. Some of the ladies in the group have gone on holiday and they're like, I feel so bad for eating carbs. No, the whole point of us being good before we go on holiday was so that you can go do that. When I went to Dubai, I'm not eating healthy. No, if I want to eat healthy, I will, obviously. I'm not just going to go and pig out.
I just genuinely don't like shite food. It makes me feel sick. Once you got to the point, it breaks my heart when Grace only wants chips. I'm like, oh my God, won't eat broccoli anymore.
The beige foods.
Yeah, and she's going through a phase because I'm like, this would happen to me, wouldn't it? But yeah, so it just annoys me. And she kicked off the other day in Joe and the Juice. And I think this is absolutely awful. And I would, again, if it was my manifesto and I was running the country, I would definitely put laws in against this. When you go to Starbucks and there's just cakes there, and then I was in Joe and the Juice and she's fucking lost her shit and she's thrown herself on the floor and she's just screaming the place down. She wants this chocolate cake. I'm like, nope, that's a display cake. It's a display cake. That's not for us. It's not real. It's not real. It's plastic. And she's just not having it. She's, you know what I mean? She's just going mental. But those things,
So
have them on the menu.
Like people,
I feel
it's
like
rammed down our throats, the unhealthy stuff.
Of course, all the sweets as soon as you go into the petrol station.
Yeah, and
now,
all the service stations, all full of crap.
Everywhere. But I am somebody who's very mentally strong, and I'm not tempted by that shit because I think that
I
shit.
ate a whole pack of Jaffa cakes on the way here today.
Well, that would never happen to me. I don't even have dessert because I just think, what, plate of cellulite there, yeah. But I'm like really, I'm really mentally strong, and I'm fine with that. I know people aren't.
Yeah.
Danny has got such a chocolate addiction. He could not go in and not buy like something,
chocolate.
or if it's presented in front of him, and I get it. If I'm Starbucks, I want to make money. I want to sell cakes too, but no, like.
So what you're saying is,
it's as bad as smoking.
It's people's willpower though, and it's about: are you really ready? How bad do you want it? How bad do you? If you're unhappy in yourself and you're not confident, and you were not talking about just like. People say it's really like vanity and stuff, but if you're not confident in your body or how you look or feel, that transpires to through your whole life, how you are in the bedroom with your partner. You know, you don't feel sexy, you don't want to have sex. You don't want to
your general energy.
Yeah, your general energy is low. You don't want to go out with your friends because you can't wear the same things. You feel envious of them. Actually, if you're not happy in yourself, it does affect your life. And you know what? That's up to you. Do you want to continue feeling like that? And if you don't, do something about it. And if you're going to come and pay and do a program,
don't waste that money.
Don't waste the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So there has been good things that have come out of,
And you know what the biggest driver is? Do you know what? If you're ever getting anybody pushback, if they've got kids, use that as a driver. And I'm not saying being mean about it, but I'm saying if you would do fucking anything for them, you would die for them. Stay alive for them and do it in the best shape possible. And if that is not going to motivate you, like to the point where you want to be fit and strong, and at 80 you can still open a jar, so that they're not.
You want to be healthy for your children.
Of course, they're going to be 30 years old. Do they want to be going around to see their mum who can't carry shopping and can't do this for themselves and do that for themselves, and like being a burden on their life? No. Okay, well then it's that time to start now. And I think of that every time I think about slipping or not doing.
So you go in the gym. You're a mum.
Yeah. And I think.
And you don't want to be a bad example to your child.
If you want to be, if you do anything for them, stay fit for them.
Yeah.
And that is, and that is such an emotional driver, you know, and I would use that with anybody who's like trying to dismiss what you say. Sometimes I would be like, no, you've got to understand.
I mean, you hear so many excuses. Oh, I'm in the menopause. I'm over 40. Oh, I'm too busy. I haven't got time to go to the gym. I haven't, blah, 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 blah. Excuses. All of it, excuses.
I would
excuse. And you know what? You just got to be hard. That's the reality. You're making excuses. Don't tell me it can't be done.
And the other thing is they think they've got time.
You know what?
They think they've got time it's all right. I'm all right if I don't go for another 2 weeks, because in another 2 weeks I'll have the time. Again. Yeah. And they're running out of time. I make this excuse all the time. Now, I've already prepaid all my PT sessions and I just can't even get in with him because it's a fucking 3-hour exercise. It's an hour there, an hour in the gym and an hour back. And sometimes I've got meetings all day. Supposed to see him before this podcast and I'm too ill to go. So sorry, shout out to Louis, love you, but I can't get in. So anyway, so what do? I bought a load of weights. And I've got them all stacked up at home now.
Are you using them?
Yeah. So even when I feel better, yeah. But so even if I can't get in and see him, the very least I can do is at least 15, 20 minutes of doing some weightlifting. No excuses.
Yeah. It's, I mean, like the excuses, they come thick and fast, honestly. But do you know what? I can pretty much debunk all of them because you know what? I'm proof that actually that's not, you can have the time. You know what? I was in a relationship. I had a stepdaughter. I had a business. You know, I had lipedema, the condition lipedema, which we spoke about last time, which genetically, so I was fighting against my body. You know, it was harder. I am now in perimenopause as well. And I did a bikini comp at 40 years old when I've been overweight my whole life. So don't tell me it cannot be done. It can be done. You just can't be asked.
No, I know. I have this with one of my friends and she's like got a partner, but he works away. So she's got no kids. She's just got herself to look after. And she's not working at the moment. So I'm like, you are now your job. The project is you. Okay, that's great. You are your job every day. You know, so yeah, I'm definitely a load more time poor. But anything I can do, even if I just get my 10,000 steps in or whatever.
Everyone's capable.
My diet's really
but
good
do you know what?
anyway.
Even if people can't exercise, honestly, 80% of things is diet. They always say, isn't that saying, abs are made in the kitchen? You know, I've had a lady that's had an injury and she's freaking out that she can't exercise. And it's like, trust me, if you stick to this, if you actually stick to the diet and make sure you stick to it a bit more on point now, you'll still get the results.
Yeah.
Yes, you might not be as toned or whatever, but you will get results and your body will be healthier.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
So actually, people always go, oh, well, if I can't do the gym, there's no point eating good. I mean, I'm one of the worst for that because when I can't go to the gym, I'm terrible because really that's when I should up my food game. But mine seems to go hand in hand. It's like, okay, I've just had surgery, so I can't be like going to the gym. So I'll eat crap.
I know, I'm not like that. I'm
terrible.
And my saving grace is the fact that I'm actually very good at my diet. I don't eat enough, if I'm honest. But yeah. But we've come to the end of the podcast, actually. So Claire, if anybody wants to get hold of you or do Body by Claire, how do they get hold of you?
They just go on My Body by Claire on Instagram and they can click the link in my bio for more information.
Okay, so it's Body by Claire _.
Yeah.
Claire with an I as well. But we'll put it in the show notes, Calvin. Can we put it in the show notes? Because I say every week I'm going to put stuff in the show notes and I never do. So if Calvin does it, it'll get done. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Claire, being so raw, open and honest. And I know welcome. Today you have been dreading this conversation.
Yeah.
But I hope it wasn't as bad as you think it was.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was fine. But, you know, just to help other people out there that are in a similar position.
No, well, definitely being confidently honest, being absolutely raw, and then people will think, God, yeah, I've been through that, or yeah, maybe
we all have.
Yeah, maybe I should go and communicate with my partner a bit more, you know. But no, I appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.